here to refute Vizente's claim that social media has a negative impact on society. His secondary claims are that social media gives a false sense of connection, social media leads to cyberbullying, and that social media decreases productivity in the workplace. The speaker likes examples of consequences in his first claim, does not show any alternative solutions in his second, and only has one source for his third claim. I believe social media has a positive impact because it strengthens relationships and has been proven to increase productivity in the workplace. His first claim is that social media gives a false sense of connection, and one of his supporting points is that social media causes meaningful relationships to weaken. However, an article done by the Pew Research Center in 2015 said that nearly 7 in 10 teens receive support from friends through social media during tough times. In result, this would just help strengthen their relationship rather than weaken it. This goes against one of his supporting points. Another one of his points is that social media sites can make it difficult to distinguish the difference between real-world relationships and cyber relationships. However, if you really think about it, social media just really adds to real-life relationships rather than making it hard to distinguish the difference between them. According to sociologist Barry Ballman, he stated online communication, such as email, instant messaging, chat rooms, etc., does not replace more traditional offline forms of contact, face-to-face and telephone instead. It instead adds to them, increasing the overall volume of contact. More specifically, people with great deal of online conversation have just as many offline conversations as those who decline to participate in the former. This just kind of shows to prove that if you use social media, it kind of just adds to your conversation with the person than when you would go see them in real life as well. The speaker also doesn't really address his third point that social media, his third point to support his first claim, that social media causes people to be more open to peer pressure. He doesn't elaborate on that point at all, he just really says it. His second claim is that social media leads to cyberbullying. He uses an article done by a CBS News report in 2010 saying that 42% of teenagers had reported that they had been victims of cyberbullying. However, he fails to acknowledge that the amount of cyberbullying has gone down significantly since then. An article done by the U.S. News Report in 2015 stated the amount of teens who face cyberbullying went down to 6.9%. Another one of his supporting points is that cyber attacks cause mental scars and affect emotional stability in others. However, he doesn't acknowledge that there are ways you can get help through social media websites and ways you can find support groups within social media websites like Facebook, and there's also websites like stopbullying.gov and Pacers. These websites are for people who have gone through social media, cyberbullying, and offer support for those who have gone through just general bullying as well. His third claim was that social media decreases productivity in the workplace. His supporting point was that social media was a distraction from daily tasks and that Facebook shaves off 1.5% of office productivity. He only uses one source of evidence for this, and that is the Houston Chronicle, which did an article in 2013. However, a little bit more recent article done in 2014 by Forbes showed how social media could be used to increase productivity in the workplace. The article included a survey done by Microsoft saying that the survey said that 46% of workers say that their productivity has increased thanks to social media and social media tools. The article also had research done by the University of California Irvine team that found occasionally grazing social media sites like Facebook can work as a mood booster. These social media breaks can act as a mental palate cleanser, helping workers with a quick mood enhancer, allowing you to return back to the task at hand refreshed. In conclusion, this shows how social media can improve workplace productivity because it acts as a mental palate cleanser so that when you're done using it, you can go back to doing your work faster and more focused. Thank you.
And you're taking this one, right?
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Okay, the structural stuff is fine at the beginning. On the first point, when you talk about a false sense of connectivity, I thought you had good counter evidence on this particular point. There's not really a lot of analysis of what the advocate's argument is on this point, but you have good counterclaims suggesting that people on social media get assistance online from their friends and family, that there are options available for them online. Your argument suggests that it really adds the ability, the total volume of ability to have contacts with people, and I think that makes a lot of sense. There's no statistical data on this particular point, but in theory, the idea is, well, let's face it, if you once upon a time you just had a phone to reach out to your friend, or you could visit them in person, and now you can use the phone, you can text them, you could go online and chat with them, you could Skype with them, you can drive over there, or you can text them while you're driving. Please don't do that. Then, in essence, you've added a whole bunch of opportunities to do the kinds of things that are meaningful. So I thought that that's a reasonable point to make, and it makes some sense. The argument on cyberbullying, the two statistics you present, the 42% that the advocate talked about, and then your response about the 6.9%, I don't know if they're measuring the same thing. It's a little bit tough. If they came from the same source and they claim to be measuring the same thing, then it really does seem to suggest that there's been a substantial decline in cyberbullying. It may simply be that there's a difference in how cyberbullying is identified, and then maybe the argument should be that yours is the more appropriate definition of this. I'm not exactly sure how to interpret the statistical comparison, even though you were being given one. So I think that that's a little bit of a problem. And then you did suggest that there are places online where people can get assistance for help if they are being cyberbullied, and I thought that was an okay press also. So the advocate's argument on this is a little bit problematic. Your answer is a little bit problematic. The third point, I think it's all counterclaim on your point. You, in essence, say they have a single source that mentions that there's been 1.5% decline in office productivity, and you come back and suggest that a lot of people believe it increases their productivity. You give a reason why it would have an impact on productivity, and the explanation there. Both sides are citing evidence. They seem to be coming up with contradictory claims. The question might be, if we were having a further discussion of this, is how do you measure the productivity? Is it best measured by self-reported data, like the in your study that talks about how people feel like they're more productive in this particular circumstance, or is there some objective measure like the amount of items produced or the amount of contacts that people have or something along those lines? I think that that's where the problem lies on this argument. Okay, thank you.